Has anyone ever gone camping here? Because I have. Well, not really. Hi, I'm the Jelly King, and I go to church. I personally like to think that I go to the best church, because they do things so much differently from your normal, boring church. They have different groups for each age of student. Elementary school, middle school, high school, and everything above and beyond. Out of all of the groups, the middle school and high school groups are the best, because we get to go on retreats. Now, I don't know if I should be saying real names here, so I'm going to make up names that are just as good. The retreat was titled Big Fire in the Woods. So everyone was split up into their life groups, which are split up by grade and gender, and we all headed over to our campsite, South Lake. Now, before I go any further, it's important to know that each life group has a life group leader. They're in charge of all of us irresponsible children. My life group leader's name was Jamie. Jamie had been put in charge of us pretty recently, because our previous life group leaders decided to just up and abandon us so they could pursue a better Christian life. One of our first leaders was a smaller guy named Anthony, but we just call him Bob. Then there was... let's go for Thomas this time. He was also really strong, but extremely kind. He was awesome, but then he had to change campuses for some reason, and we never saw him again. Then Jackson, who was awesome and loved D&D, and then we got Jamie. After the 5-hour bus ride to South Lake, we all got assigned to cabins with our life groups. When we got to our cabin, Jamie said that other students from a different campus would be joining us, so we had to find some extra beds so they could sleep on the floor and be fine. Everyone else got bunk beds. Well, you snooze, you lose. And they were on the floor. When we laid out the mattresses, some violent kid saw a striking resemblance to a wrestling mat, and then everyone wrestled each other, and I was the supreme champion because I'm at least 60 pounds heavier than everyone in the room. We were all having fun wrestling other children to the ground right next to a giant wooden shelf when our leader, Jamie, decided to wrestle as well. He was 10 years older than the rest of us and ended up having all the other 9 kids take him on at once. It was pretty safe to say that he was the new supreme champion. Now, at this point, I hadn't had the chance to wrestle him myself. And being a young, sprightly, everything is gonna work out fine kind of kid, I decided to take a shot at getting my title back. What I didn't know was that Jamie knew jujitsu, and he was saving it, just for me. One moment, I thought I was winning, and the next, I was sailing over him onto my back. We were scheduled to stay at camp for 2 whole days, and then a half day where we left. And a lot of fun stuff happened that I will make into videos in the future. But on the second to last day, something beautiful happened. So we had a huge amount of free time to use, but it was separated into 2 time slots. It was in the second time slot that huge inflatables were set up around the camp. There were huge slides in the center field, and inflatable mini-golf inside the gym. When I was playing the magical game known as inflatable mini-golf, I saw someone that I recognized. A few holes ahead of me was my old life group leader, Thomas. I finished golfing and ran up to him, and we talked a bit. Now, before I continue, I want to describe the inflatable right next to the mini-golf. It was a wrestling arena. You know those things where you get a punching bag-esque thing and you have to push the other person out? It was one of those, and Thomas had his eye on it. The rules were if you win, you stay in, and the rest of the line was comprised of small children who appeared to be in the 6th grade, which meant that as soon as Thomas, a man who graduated already, got into the arena, he was staying. There, the previous reigning champion was literally thrown out of the arena instantly. I figured, well, I'm bigger than him, and I've been practicing all weekend, so this should be easy. And so everyone tried again and again, but to no avail. Thomas was still the king. I was in the back of the line, in the shadows, plotting on how to take him down. His strategy was to push low and then fling the small child who had fallen prey to his might upwards into the heavens. So when it was my turn, instead of pushing against the force of his push, I fell over so that he couldn't push me up and away. So he dropped the punching bag thing and started to push me off on my back. It was at this moment where I had a flashback. Not really, I just remember this. I had been in Thomas's position not long ago with Jamie. So I put my hands on his shoulder and planted my feet on his stomach, and I pushed him over my head. And everyone went frickin' insane.